So an interesting little feature of Lucee Cold Fusion is that if you add the CachedWithin directive to a function declaration, it will memoize the function execution such that if you pass it the same inputs again, it'll return a cached result and not re-execute the body of the function. And as I was playing around with this, one piece of behavior that was not immediately obvious to me is that what is considered a unique argument is not a simple translation from other programming contexts. So if I were to be programming in JavaScript and I passed in complex objects like arrays and structures and arrays of structures and queries and Cold Fusion components, in the world of immutable JS and the sort of in vogue processing workflows around Redux, uniqueness applies to simple values and object references, meaning that these two arrays would actually be two different things in terms of uniqueness. But it appears that the CachedWithin feature of Luce CFML looks at the value of a complex object, the deep value of the complex object, and not just at the object reference. So to explore and demonstrate this behavior, what I have is a collection here, and you can see that I have duplicate declarations over and over again, right? So two empty arrays, two empty structs, two arrays of structs, two arrays of arrays, two arrays of simple values, so on and so forth. Then they start to get a little bit more complex, a little bit deeper. I even have a deserialized version of the two above it. I have two different queries, and here I even have two Cold Fusion components. They both have the same internal implementation, but they're two completely different component templates. And then I just loop over the values in this, and I try passing them to the test caching function. Now the test caching function is just going to increment this shared counter and return it. So what this means is that if executing this function returns a new value, the body of the function executed and the caching has not taken place. If it returns the same value as the previous invocation, it means that the body of the function was omitted and a cached result was returned. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Let me just make sure we're getting the non-cached version here. Okay, so what we can see here immediately is that we have some duplicate numbers, 1, 2, 3, which means that some degree of caching is taking place. So before we even dig in deeper, what that means is that the uniqueness of input arguments for the CachedWithin memoization is not based solely on object reference like it might be in a different programming context. Now digging a little bit deeper, what we can see is that these first four are actually the same. That an empty array and an empty struct are actually considered the same value, right? Whether they're standalone or whether they're embedded within a secondary array. We can also see that two different Cold Fusion components of different types are also considered the same input value as long as their public properties are also the same. So what we're seeing here is that when it comes to memoization with the CachedWithin feature of Luce CFML, Lucee is doing a deep comparison of inputs when determining whether or not those inputs are unique so as to determine whether or not a cached value should be returned or whether the function body should be executed. Again, just not completely obvious to me, so hopefully this is helpful to others who may not also find that to be obvious.